Thus I have heard. At one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of Vulture Peak Mountain with a great gathering of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the samadhi of the many aspects of phenomena called profound appearance. At the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra told the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, how should a son of the lineage train who wishes to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva answered the Venerable Sharadvati Putra with these words. Shariputra, those men and women of the lineage who wish to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look at it like this. The five skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness, and having no characteristics, they are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no phenomena. There is no quality of sight and so on, until no quality of mind and no quality of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance, and so on, up to no old age and death, and no exhaustion of old age and death. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no ending, and no path. No wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide by means of the profound perfection of wisdom. And since their minds have no obscurations, they have no fear. Transcending falsity, they attain nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times have relied upon the perfection of wisdom and have become true and complete Buddhas of unsurpassable, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the profound perfection of wisdom, the mantra of insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for it is not deceptive. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Teata om gate gate paragate parasam gate bodhi soha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and said to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva noble Avalokiteshvara that he had spoken well. Well done, O son of the lineage, it is so. O son of the lineage, since it is just so, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Sharadbhati Putra and noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva and the entire gathering, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One.
Rozo gyala buje doze yana chuje yangde su. Rodo jedo nyemo nyelo deje jado chunze chi. Mare meze donge nyungo chunye chunze redo no. Dene doje saje dose yudene do jase tuye ku. Jodo jodo junye jede dole min jobe yano de o arabaza no de o arabaza no de o arabaza no de zede chuje chira veze chi dale de mo min baro se ne Kadang tenje jong lo do ba yi, lo zhe bo bie nang, zhe do ya lo zhe do ye zhe, jiu ye zhe ya ne ya do, zhao ye re ya lo ye ne ye zhe, ne ya de ye zhe. Dāgī shīwō bīndī dīyō nā, gādrī chīmbī guādī jīzō dī, gōsō dōjī gōjō sūdō sū, pīnzō gīdī shībī chūmbī gu, tāwī dōyī rīwā gōyī sō, mālī shīyā jījī sībī tū, chājī sōwā dī lā sōwā dī, 多劫千波的心，多劫长，就在的罗波当那罗波，人就周边波当的上，让人心老君老所我的。让人心老君老所我的，上波同面眼前当着的，秋天的云的当着边。 在座各萨勒年所年波，要见学别之老所我的，要人月面兄弟乐着东，老我这波这边可就见，上界观众宝宝要自送，老莫道业之老所我的，协助当地中央的上。 嘎当点边面波周的节，念就能是过去送老送，嘎当老么能老所的，刚见心的所见送好风，我都这边我说就早见，当我点边道波开着的，要是就把这老所的。 教诵功德罗马多杰强，康乐功德新年最重年，教导推广古著孙子兵，春节罗马能老所的，让将所着跟老道业民，给上淘宝这边叫我说，这边这边都给这包业。 孙子新年能老所我的，叫我更多养到那么多，人民去别老弄时间，扫到那就应的少做的，多就强给工。 人多说，上街去当做街就能能，想就不多多年就做的，老给去别做那件，到了平时上街就不说，上街就做街就能能，想就不多多年就做。 老给去别做那件。 到了平时上街就不说，上街就做街就能想就不多多年就做，老给去别做那件，到了平时上街就不说。哎。 的确，啊，他们这个他们大批经济是吧？用就过来几家的，用就推用，是吧？现在那个说没大把些的，那上线的没大老板是的，要是推用的，家里的大的是老说呢，那个说搞个，那没大把也让新人吧，就按这对也让新人吧，点人吧，解决也吧，等着进了国球多啊。
So, after several weeks, we're meeting again today here, which also gives us a lessons of impermanent, keep changing every day, looking at our own life, environment, and so forth. So it is therefore the great beings have stated that if you know how to contemplate on impermanent nature of phenomena, and that's the real teacher, understanding of impermanent nature of phenomena is a guidance or the real or the inner teacher for oneself. And it also tells us, how things actually change from one moment to another. And also at the same time, also teaches us how interdependent actually operates there.
조안도 되게 가르 텐토 세네레 맞아 가르 차신으로 이제 가르 된적인 조안도에 대해 차시 가르네 두고 그랬어서나 근데 지 쟁에다 쟁송뭐 가르치 용소나 고지 최쟁이 바로 아 이때 전에 매번 지 최쟁이 받지라 근데 공문제 제용도 걸라 가르에는 용거를 와서 지저로 되게 전에라 펜토고 되면은 강가 문제가 토도 법어서 문제 제비 걸라 돈에 대체 두고요 말이야 장신시에서나 아니 돈에 가르에는 제투고 있어야 돼.
So therefore, it is really important for all of us to really to accept that momentary of phenomena, the nature of phenomena, in other words. But if one is able to accept such process of change of phenomena right from now, then regardless of what kind of result that one may have, what kind of experience that one may undergo, such as positive or negative experiences, you will not become overwhelmed by those experiences of happiness and sufferings. So here, then you will be able to understand that everything that experiences by us, whether it be that happiness or suffering, is all coming into being from due to its own causes and conditions. You will not become that when you come across with such adverse circumstances that you will not overwhelm and saying that how come this is happening to me? Why this is happening to me, and so on and so forth. We will not go through such agony if one is able to accept right from the beginning of the impermanent nature of phenomena.
다 등적인 조안도비 제랑 맞어 아니 제 러자데 간일래 그랬어서나 러자데 담비 추는 애 그래. 인전에 등적이 담비 추때 템보 버려서나 템보 버드 서래서나 다 로니 동거장은 템보 투병보 아니 지랑게 된전한 가되니라 뭐스 신디디 전나벌에 사네 메바지 제로 저와 차고를 가서 내가 제.
So here now when going through such momentary change, what is most important for us to really to accept this change of momentarily. So then that this a genuine acceptance can take place within the one's stream of beings by listening to the sublime teachings of the Dharma. And the teacher who taught the teachings is the Buddha Shakyamuni. Buddha is the one who taught us such important lessons that we can really eliminate all those mental and physical agonies. So therefore, at this point, let's take our time to visualize Buddha in front of oneself in the space.
대체 저녁에 tempo 투비 온버텔라 아니 고물루도 내서 되네 랑게 다 상주 선바선에 미 된제선에 있는 고물루도 내서 내 랑게 된제사이라면 받아 소주신 나게 내 랑게 되는 거 되니라 아니 두 제신도 있는 쇼도 여상이지.
So then by visualizing Buddha before oneself in the space surrounded by all other great beings, including Arya Nagarjuna and so forth, and all other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
아니지 다당아 속에 점을이 내던지는 소소소 나온데 되게 주체년 집에서 지금 매번 대장도 매져와지. 근데 라운드 지총이 아니 다 맞춰가는 수보데 타대버려마도 sembattan döba kanga chi song yin zane döba chi song yi ne dewa debi ge ne ji so cham de sen chen che la ne ji da dang so ge de zara so sa ge chue de ne ye sang ji wa.
So here then being oneself in their presence, the presence of, in other words, the merit fields. And so not just being only yourself in their presence, but you yourself is surrounded by entire sentient being without exceptions. Imagining that they're being right with you in the presence of all this, or in the presence of this merit fields. And so imagining that all sentient beings, although we all have an individual form of body and a different kind of body, however, the way of thinking, such as the desire for achieving happiness and overcome sufferings, as the same, it's all equal to all of us.
다야 상제를 미비 다 상제세거라 네 상제는 랑이 제자 사이나마라 미비 세지도네 대바체 아니 되게랑도랑냐 비스제 되니라 다 되게지 때데 대화지 같이셔나 예 되지로 같이 제투나 때문에 책임다 생기지 지 하상도 지 커터네네 되게 선바 지 차본주 진용도에 담달라 가만히 있으면 지기다.
So here now then try to generate a single-pointed faith towards Buddha and one's root guru, and then also cultivate a compassion towards all sentient beings by thinking that how wonderful it would be if I can liberate or if I can free all sentient beings from the sufferings of cyclic existence and establish them to the state of everlasting happiness. So with this thought, let's take a couple of minutes to meditate.
아이, 그렇지. 아주 지단이 좋아이나 정으로 저기 로아 매진비잖아요. 로아 매기 네 레카티 제버에 데도 지바레 시도 지바레 네 손데 데레다 데르지기 산나도데 맞아 단단 넘버데 마추다 내야데 데르기 산나지 도데 맞아 지난 거네잖아. 아리 넘버는 댕에 맞다. 뭐네 시대 쇼지래도 로 소상시어이나 다나 가서는 바지네 사 가시 트로신 사 통바지 지포전에 바 근데 나이 코로 뭘 대려로 뭐고질라 나다지네 니체나 세메치 게시초에나 사야 통야메 근데 강에 지금은 하도도 맞아 로 메생에 참 많이다 다 쇼진도.
So he's telling us the fortunate Dalai Lama always says that as a human beings, we need to fulfill our duty as a human beings, which means to really to empathize and become sympathetic towards the problematic situation in our surrounding or place where it is far or near. So one must empathize and become sympathetic towards all other beings. So just think about a places like the war is the ongoing war right now. As many beings are undergoing tremendous amount of sufferings. So here we, as a people who are living in the United States of America, we are really blessed. I would really say that it is, safe to claim that we are really being in such a peaceful land at this point. If in comparison to the place where the war is going on, and so therefore at this point, so what we are happening is we are just living in this land, remaining under the influence of mental wanderings. So therefore, one should not let ourselves remaining under the power of mental wandering, but to make one's thoughts and actions meaningful and purposeful by thinking about how all those other beings are remaining under the fear and uncertainty of their situation and so forth. So even though that we are unable to directly, offer our assistance to those places where the war is happening, but we as I talked earlier, that we as human beings, it is important for us to take this time to dedicate our merits and prayer for all those beings who are undergoing sufferings, and not let ourselves remaining under the power of mental wandering. So we are really fortunate because we are happily and delightfully receiving the teachings of the Dharma. So therefore, it is truly that our precious human rebirth is even more than precious, wish fulfilling gem. Sorry. So now let's begin with our teachings by laying out the four important main outlines, in other words, beginning from the greatness of the authors given in order to show the teachings as noble source, and showing the greatness of the teachings in order to engender respect for the teachings, and then how the students how to listen to the teachings in which both teachings and its author are great, and the sequence in which the disciples are to be taught the actual instructions. So this will then be followed by the two sub outlines, how to rely on the teacher, the spiritual teacher, which is the root of one's spiritual path, and how the students train their mind after having relied on teacher. The Sanjana Shoba Lotila song, Sanjana Loba Logo Vicense, Loba Revala, the Sanjama Duba, Temba Loba Lobe Rimbanisha, that Omanidis, the Loba Lobe Rimbanisha Balani, Teba Chimbachella Lotidon, Chiba do Dojetiba, Lotsuja, that Tombola song,
想就老把了，他的情况下呢，就是他们说呢，就当年的水节，他东北人知道，他说呢，就当年的去了，送康乐路比些，带了老把那边去，带了老别人把节，他东北人知道，他带了老别人把了你，学把就了老在当，去把他发现他们年了老水节，他东北知道，东北知道节，他发现他们年了老去了送，现在的他都给偏些吧，偏些吧，等你定个就地级的。理解的点吧，现在的他多给我对你个帮助比较深，过来年吧，你说是老崔也是，他们说你发现他们你老崔带来点对的，现在你说是老崔，现在老崔当老汤老崔你讲了，也通过现在老崔点对的是。
So we are on the particular chapter of receiving the teachings, discussing on this last two perfections. And out of two last perfections, we're on the perfection of concentration. And with the concentrations, there are the first, how to practice meditative serenity and how to practice spiritual insights. So these two, we're on a particular chapter, how to practice serenity.
当我做开始我做一对讲一啥的的现在讲比较了，理解上了看得天过的是呢，你理两趟有确定当点的对过的也是的，他人家讲别人把你写过生意的，在看图。
So we have covered when speaking about engaging in practice of meditative practice of meditative serenity. Is serenity must be practiced by maintaining the sevenfold physical gestures, sevenfold gestures, Vairocana and other gestures, and then this will then be followed by the meditative process. So we are on the meditative process.
就当然我说的，就当然呢，现在讲比较了，旅游的对面对个个别建设的就是俺都，或者对讲装饰的对面是起码让那起我们都，我说呢，搞的我的，旅游上了起码之前讲的电影呢，我说刚才理生现象的话，起码讲的真好有的也是，真好有的也是起来的，跟那早的弄运动东西起码之前电话呢，可能就是听不电话呢，旅现象的生现象叫的就有的也是。So,
the reason why we need to maintain these physical gestures of the meditative posture, in other words, or gestures, is because if one is able to maintain the proper meditative, physical gestures, in other words, one is easier for one to accomplish this physical and mental pliancy. By maintaining these proper physical gestures, will then let our wind flows into our channels properly, which can, become a cause for swift generation of mental and physical pliancy. You can also, sustain your meditative by doing such gestures, and then also you will not become, weak. Even you may have, sustained your meditation long period of time.
The Metiba so the picture go out until Timoma in by son do that. Metiba the second to color, they don't carry their win. I mean, they do patient or some because and get that the Metima, and Timoma in be church is a teacher. And they change the show that the Dubaton and they tell it in the Tonchi and it's son up here at the rich way or so. Picture go out, Metiba the picture go out and the Timoma in by the son door.
That's all.
Meditative to say you go jadi kalau children jangan dia ada dah, hamu patient tu sondo. Santai dia cuma main baru sana.
That's all.
Dia tu dia cuma main baru dia ada mana mesin tu patient tu sondo.
So the meditation serenity or concentrations is something that is exclusive practice to Buddhists. However, it is common practice that is undertaken by the non-Buddhist practitioners as well. But I'm not very sure when they are actually engaging in meditative serenity, the process of meditative posture, with physical gesture. I'm not very sure whether they are maintaining the same physical gesture or not.
但现在当晚去别个也是送的，现在当晚去吧，当然那上街上就什么得到的，上街的人都得到的，得到点呢，那看不来是，你第一就是听不见的，你老板的要说是那边去吧也就了。
So by meditating, by maintaining such pictures, will also enables other to admire one's practice, and they will also have with the generation of admiration, then they will also have a genuine desire to engage in such practice. And also such meditative posture is undertaken by the great teachers of the past, such as Buddhas, Shervaka and Pradika Buddhas as well.
你真的刘长波的你的目标是个的，送到你的目标是个那的，这当如果的了长波的用过了，你的目标都晓得嘛，这个也让我的用过了。
When it is also, it will also become almost like an antidote towards one's mental dullness and also the sleepiness, because the mental dullness, when we are actually engaging in meditations or the practice of meditations, the mental dullness and sleepiness is one of the conditions that really prevents us from engaging meditation practice properly.
对的。但你那个确定的是那里，确定的是那弄强了，可不是的。运动嘛，接的了，运动嘛接的，七八的运动嘛接的，别给全部的是多，两动不了。这两个全部也是了。我说，年纪没就现在如果嘛的，说你家出去一年了，刚开始教个人说呢，你弄容易拖弄了，没把下一点两个全部是少多啊。
And it's also known as like sevenfold, or 8-point postures, or the sevenfold postures. So there are of two kinds. But if you add on the 7, if you add 1 at the end on this, after undertaking all those 7-point postures or the sevenfold meditative physical gestures, and all can followed by this meditation, the cycle of one's breathing, exhalation and inhalations will then be 8-point postures. So it is very important for us to, as a beginning practitioners, the initial practitioners, to focusing one's mind on the breathing in and out, exhalation and inhalations will really will enables us to maintain our mental equilibrium. So therefore, even one is not actually engaging in a practice of serenity, but you do some kind of meditations prior to one's actual meditations. If one is able to engage in practice of breathing in and out, focusing one's mind on that, is very helpful and beneficial.
的确，当然这样的，他刚别人把你写吧，写的，刚别人把你写吧，呢，送的话，哪里偏么觉得语坛的送比。你把我帮人的些解决过呢，现在就把送了是，这些老少话呢，具备当啊那里第一点的年上的些别，到处的一些适当，现在个这个把现金，可把人家抓紧呢，说你们老乡人的用这些的，人家抓紧呢，现在比头个一了些把些对吧当。年报做的第一点，年报的些节呢， Then tingen zi tangje je tao yinbe, dode tomanen, dode jen dang, yu ta dang, papa tome je sa de dang, oma gongren, song la soba, samten je tao tenba, tangje le tenba song de, tongbo tingen zi je chola nebe, tao deda gimbe na, tingen zi ngeba toba, joro, deda, mare, tuyusang, sante je menga soba traba tala, tao deda ki mi zayang manante, tingen zi je cho tang medeba tang, tao deda meba ne, yu rinpo mbe de, tingen zi druba, mare, tingen zi druba mason so xie rangi lang le che de, tene yung chenpo na de tingen zi druzi la, nyepa namba taba nipi tang dun tang mo, son wa deba de chi lo xa la cha.
That's all. So here we're on the page 31 and last paragraph under the meditative process. So the meditative process is, broadly speaking, the stages of the path. Tradition indicates that you achieve serenity by means of the 8 antidotes, which eliminate the 5 faults listed in Maitreya's separation of middle from the extremes. Madhyanta Vivaha. So personal instructions passed down from Geshe Laksorwa explain that in addition to that, you have to achieve serenity through the 6 powers, the four types of attention, and the nine mental stage, which Asanga's Shervaka level explains. The scholar Yandendra says the meditation of 9 mental states are included in the 4 attentions and 6 faults in 8 applications, which are the antidotes or the method for achieving all concentrations. This is agreed upon in all teachings about the techniques for meditative stabilizations, including those in most sutras. Maitreya's ornament of mind sutras, or separation of middle from the extremes, Asanga's texts on the levels, and Kamalachila's three stages of meditations. Those who first have the precondition, those who first have the preconditions for concentrations will definitely attend concentrations if they use this method to work at it. Nowadays, supposedly profound oral traditions on meditative stabilization, like even the name of these techniques. So this text do not indicate that that you will achieve concentrations without precondition for the concentrations on the techniques, even if you work it for a long time. So this stated in his text on the stages of the path. So this speaks for reaching pure certainty about how the classic text presents the way to achieve concentrations.
Dela ngani larin chungwa no la sachi song de changja song do ma zu jong man de yo de kala pena gang chi ja go na tombo go kare zu gore kare che gore se de keshe she yi changja yi jong ri dan da la ni jong sen de chang ba ji larin jingwa no de la changja jong song.
So in the middle or the intermediate great deities, intermediate deities in the stages of path of enlightenment, Lama Tsongkhapa said, at this point, he said, it is a connecting phrase when it reaches in this, quoting from a different sources, deities and sutras and so forth, are said to be a connecting phrase.
다 되게 단다 린센데 가르세나 저나 신에게 까고에 되라 아니 녜방가 되라 녜방가 까베 되라 아니 디시지 세데 되게 까 윤비가라 신에 만주지 바도 림바 되라 세네 동번에 세네 거바 바도 로이 림바데 코로 신에 지이진 바도래.
So here, when speaking about engaging in practice of meditative serenity, one must first identify the 5 faults. 5 faults need to be eliminated by application of 8 antidotes. So with this, then one will be able to be on the process of meditative serenity from beginning from the first meditative serenity, the first process of practice, first process of meditative serenity, all the way to the 9th process of meditative serenity.
단다 될라 도주의 이시시 생인데 코로나로만 장벌에다 단다 예방의 문제시 제 세네 걸레 로스지 장인치 여말에 손 디도 되는데 이나야 해봤대도 되는 시상로와
So although here it talks about the 6 powers and 6 powers and 4 or the 4 6 powers and the 4 wisdoms. It talks about here, but however, it is not other than 8 application of antidotes, to 8 application of antidotes towards the 5 faults.
당연히 레레신 라도 중고라서 중전은 제가 도주된데 도대모도 변의 투비도 상비도 전비도 시전지도 전리지도 루비도 세대는 맞는데 도대우슈도
그래서 투비도 전비도
투비도 상비도 니차송
상비도 보는 전비도
전비도 시전도 니차송 전리지도 루비도 세대가 손잡고 있다 다시게는 세네거도 루고래서 되는
restless. So then actually, 6 powers is something that's not very complicated. It is first the power of hearing or listening to the teachings, in other words, and then power of contemplations, power of mindfulness, power of mental introspection, and power of perseverance, and then power of accomplishment, which is actual accomplishment of meditative serenity.
Dela cosa sene tombo ne ko papa dela dikola de yung sene koron ran le matu shulo te ki medu te chwa medu
laso
ta nga chun tere ta injo tere da ta dela sa dela jir thiba son je lang jir rimbi sa chisi na ne papa thome je sa denga jeba tela bebe nyane ji tembi jone shinde je so so do 예, 저런 뭐지 민이 뭐च्या데 장유디 데 파바토메 좀 뭐슈지 장도 양내 대비 좀데 제쇼데 파바토메 좀데 인사로
그래서 So now here in the text it says, in that regard, since the general way of teaching the stages of the path of the 3 vehicles is demonstrated at the length in the noble Asanga's 5 texts on the levels. The texts that teaches the practice are very extensive. So Lama Tsongkhapa quotes from the Asanga's texts in this particular chapter is because such explanation of particularly the meditative serenity is given by the Asanga, and a very extensive explanation is given by the Arya Asanga. It is for these reasons Lama Tsongkhapa quotes from Asanga's deities every now and then.
대양 당가서 용기 로동로 다 정보보긴 로동 대양서는 용진의 제바시 바 용진의 제바 미체변 신내당 하도니 때라오비 되와래 년투지 살레 셰고바 송베 년사 신의 제바 예노 소도 신내주고
So then it says, among these five, one text gives a detailed explanations, while the others do not. So Asanga's compendium of determinations, Vanischaya Samgrahari, has said that says that his Sharvaka levels should be used to understand serenity and insight. So it is the Sharvaka level that is most extensive.
되지. 소소기 좀 놀러를 좀 대생간데 진저고요나 신내지 거대 근데 신내 제바 셰바여서 대 좀은 카본제 근데 손으로 나서 뒤진 점보고 그 서인한테 손으로 뭐 번제고요나 로동로.
So this is how the composers or the authors normally, give as a hint of where you can find the detailed explanation of such practice, such as serenity, and giving you the text, the name of the text, and author of the text, so that later on you can actually look for that text. And if one has a genuine desire to engage in practice and to learn detail about the practice, then one should look at those, great deities.
되지. 근데 초저에 때 가서 종기 다다때 때나 법에 걸어 종치기 제시 거부가라 아니 소소기 종체는 종체 제바 때나 법에 걸어 종기 공용에 내려 가리나 제바지 소용으로 들을거라 양가 소기 나다 소소를 고고 매비 손을 지야지 녀도선의 차는 지금 말고 그 종지 종체지 제시 때나 때나 법에 걸어 아니 참소 때나 법으로 맞춰 매바지.
So this, so here now, when it is referring to texts by Asangas and other masters, it is not something that we, it's not something that we don't want to go and look at those explanations. Because if one is able to look at such explanations, the extensive explanations or demonstrations given by the great beings on their own teachings in detail, so that later on, if one is able to read such texts, and you will then be able to know that the how detailed explanation that is given right from the beginning all the way to the end.
라그당 틸레당 이게 소라 미바 멘다와 마도 딩인지 지위 코나네 마지 용칭무 대달레 셰바 당 하네 셰바 나 신도 튼라 셰바도 딩인지 제네방가라 소비 쥐나 당 대나 제타 세비 수나네 도디쇼 나 신도 제바 당어 소도.
Then says also the Venerable Maitreya discussed the method of 9 mental states and the 8 antidotes in his ornament for the Mahayana Sutra, the separation of the middle from extremes. Following them, such learned Indian masters as Haribhadra, Kamalashila, and Ratnakara Karashanti wrote much about the process of achieving concentrations. On the general sense of concentrations, the Tantra are very consistent with the explanation in this classic text, except that they use different object of meditation, such as divine abodes and drops and syllables. In particular, the texts in sutra classes provide very extensive discussions of problems such as 5 faults of concentrations, and a way of clearing them away. However,
대단히 시비 땡엔지 두비 림바 녀슬림비 체나 제타인지 텐수 장염의 저와 항모 송도 가잖아.
And here it says, however, those who know how to practice on the basis of those classic texts alone are as rare as stars in the daytime. Those who impose on those texts the stains of their defective understanding derive only a superficial comprehensions and maintain that the instructions that reveal the quintessential meaning lies elsewhere. When the time comes for them to put into practice the process of achieving concentration, which this text explains, they do not even research how to do it.
안티지 다 되게 된뒤를 가르치고서나 아니 신의 두나 단다 가면 이게 아니 저와 샴바 공부네 파파 통면에 대다기 중 시샤제네 아니 중 첨벌라 때네 신의 두고를 마도 중 첨모대 고아지에서 산지레 마도 아니 두사대 명아 수도 열어서 라마지 강연으로 와지다 당아 강연으로 와지를 제도 아니나 아니 대여사대 메제 메사대 제바대 지바레 송.
So if one wants to engage in the practice of serenity, to accomplish such a quality of mental serenity, one should then follow the practice or the instructions given by such as great noble Maitreya and Asangas. Their extensive explanations, the treatise that gives extensive explanation on the meditative serenity. Other than that, without following such texts and going through the studies and trainings of such practices that are given by those great beings, if one think of achieving meditative serenity just by relying upon one particular instructions or the one particular teacher and so on, will not be able to have a fruitful, it will not become a fruitful, in other words, we will not be able to achieve meditative serenity without relying upon the great deities such as the deities of Asanga and Maitreya.
Tele 연주 책이 내 파쇼 단정하니 꾸텔에 대지 연주 지정도 게 되게 잘하면 대사 상대지 명아 잡발라 더 대단히 매장에만 한데 생기지도 어디라서 대지 정도 되게 잡된 있다.
So here it says nowadays
만한테 되는 도와 용치뭐 이지 대바도
nowadays the individual who
그것은 로그인스 로마도
so actually if you can go back and read the text where it says yes you are 예디 단데 그런 배전나 멤버진이 된다도 시작 삼성
알레 베세트 장나게 내 단지대 예대 자기 코로게 라리노라 대 transhal로 내 단지 되게 좋아서 하시 나 대니 저 차서
그래서
단지 이게 개발 예대 자세
봐
개발 예대 자기만 저러지 대상 상대제 명아서
그래서 상단계 명아서 잡아오는
저번에다라 미장에만 한테 손도아 등거네 거네 레다
So here now, let's go back and Rinpoche is asking to read once again here. It says, page 32, second paragraph, where it says, the method of the nine mental states are included in the 4 antidotes and the 6 faults, and 8 appliances and antidotes are the method for achieving consultations. This is agreed upon all teachings about the techniques for meditative civilizations, including those most sutras, mantras, Kamalachilas.
아, 되냐 간로.
대쇼왕이
대 말이 대
되냐
벤트
말고.
줬어. 뭐 주저 인데 가면 가서 다니가니 저기 리시제다 예방한데 리시제 생에 또 주도 생이죠. 뒤오들.
대 고다 다라도 섬스양이 티치버 쉐티.
추추대요. 된다.
메디 강들 도대시 대쇼아르지.
말이 허가는 선택이 강려를 제단다 장디디 강.
대 강레셔레셔.
응.
Oh, the Dhararasha. So then here it says, it is on the fifth line from below in the second paragraph. So if you can look at that, it said nowadays supposedly profound oral tradition on meditative civilization, like even the name of these techniques. This text do not indicate that you will achieve concentration without the preconditions for the concentrations and these techniques. Even this techniques, it says, even if you work at it for a long time. That's all.
아, 되래. 단다대 예방원본데 시제게 명한데 시샤제네 띵엔지 주네 시네 지제 그러마도 뒤는 뭐 가세 주나요? 아니 띵엔지 제와지 여 말이스. 대매바데 단다 예텐타기 나린다 트라야서 tel 저런 것이 가는 저 내내 존침번어지 띵엔지 주슬랑 예바 나바다바니 땅다 나와 손도
Yes. So therefore it says, because without following the practice of overcoming five faults by application of 8 antidotes, it is not possible for one to achieve serenity. So therefore it says, this is stated in the text on the stages of the path. It speaks of reaching pure certainty about how the classic text presents the way of achieving concentration.
아, 되지. 다 띵엔지 중에이나 오늘 중대단의 손배 세단 되면 주는 양내 제소나 도바랑질에 중국을 마도 아니 더바지 명화의 생에 제선 가서나 아니 지 건설하리 제다 손도 여섯 몇세네 메시지 아니 갈래되니 되면 차그를 손도
If one genuinely aspires to achieve practice of meditative serenity or concentrations, one should rely on such sutras and treatises, the great treatises and sutras given by the great beings such as Sharvagana Sangha and so forth. Because without depending on such teachings, thinking that such and such guru will give you the special instructions, and such instruction is something that is exclusive to practice one's meditative serenity, will not going to help us to achieve and have will not be able to actualize the realization of meditative serenity.
내가 저기 냐뉴 세네를 저기 빼잖아 하고 그래. 빼는 대로와 나서는 신에다 땡에서 템포 데메토인데 저 가르쳐고서나 너희 제고 너희 제와이나 너희 생에 가르는 건지 전에 너희 내가네 너희 매보존에 세집에 땡에서 죽으러와 마도 너희들 지도 전에 매저와제 도와줄 주고 제 되도나 아니 니 그서는 마도 가시 줄을 세매와
So because here it's very clear for us, without identifying the faults of our meditative concentrations, regardless of how long we may meditate, we will not be able to achieve the result, because we need to first of all to identify the most obstacles or the impediment for one's practice of meditative serenity is mental renderings, because for this impediment must be identified and eliminated, and without eliminating such hindrance, one will not be able to achieve the single-pointed meditative concentrations. So this is how Lama Tsongkhapa always say that one's practice must be followed by the learning and receiving the teachings of the great deities given by the great teachers. He always say the great, uh, so followed by if one genuinely have an aspiration to follow the great teachers and learn it once, one must always rely on those authentic, extensive teachings given by those great beings. Take a 10 minutes break here. So let's read through again. Continue reading from the page 33. The personal instructions of this deities states only the practice from the beginning to the end, which are derived from the classic texts. Therefore, herein I will explain the method used to achieve concentrations drawing on the classic texts. So this explanation of meditative process has two sections. So here now, the personal instructions of these deities, referring to the Lam Rim Chenmo itself, the great deities and the stages of the path to enlightenment. So this talks about how the practice, the teachings of the spiritual practice is given in this particular text or the deities, right from the beginning of relying upon qualified teachers, and all the way to the practice of 6 perfections, and particularly the last 2 perfections. And if you look at this point, we're on the meditative serenity. The extensive teachings and explanations are given in it, and referring to importance of relying upon a great extensive deities given by the great teachers. So here now it's stated, as Lama Tsongkhapa stated, that one should not satisfied and contented by just partial studies or the receiving the partial teachings. Rather, one should go through the receivings of the teachings of all those great teachings of teaching given by the great masters of such as uh, um, the six ornaments and two supremes and so forth. So, so therefore, His Holiness always tells us that the Tibetan Buddhist tradition is the authentic tradition of the Nalanda University. So therefore, if we were to ask that where is those teachings, passed from the Nalanda to the Tibetan traditions, then the only choice for us is to answer this question is to say that look at the teachings given by the Lama Tsongkhapa.
당아주제 자시 저신의 공부를 해서서 다 자용이 되바 인생나 다 인샤샤로 다 현다바 이슈 냥내지 내대데 다 랑레치모도 연나면나로 랑레치모 대양 이제 조 자용의 지스제는 로에 송도 용치모 지스제데 용치모 지샤제네 로와 대제데 용치모리 라와리 진 마게바 전저 송상의 지로와.
So here Lama Tsongkhapa's teaching is something very unique and different because all his teachings are given on the basis of teaching given by the great Indian masters. And if you look at the teachings of Tsachi Dikshin, which is the commentary on the middle way, and also the Gongpo Rapso, which is also the clarifying the thought, which is also explanation on the middle way or the Madhyamaka. Those are all based on the teaching given by the great Indian masters. And also in this particular teaching that we are engaging right now, which is the great teachers and the teachers of the path of enlightenment, it's all relying, given this teaching's explanation is also given on the basis of the teachings given by the great Indian masters.
데 연주질로로 되는데 니빠좀 수위도 당한데네 용 오데 샤로와 당 고든 주바데 오셔는데 냥네 당지 용 쳔모 네 종아 코나를 지스 셰베 소도아.
So here again, let's read once again that above this paragraph where the personal instructions of this deities states only the practice from the beginning to the end, which are derived from the classic texts.
투체대지. 단델라니 제 당가서 이게 가서 강비rem바 시발라니 세데다. 딩인지 쮸메 집이 수당 델라 때네시네 세네 집이rem바오 동볼라송 세미발라 되비 모두 제다샤와 미발라 되비 뒤스 제다샤와 되비 미발라 되비 오드 제다샤와 더 사제도 됐는데서 됐어 고소이 지마치진 얘가 말해 얘나 맞고 용처모되게 아니 그 몰랑도 제비반에 미바전만 로에리 아니 가서가 손데 모자데 이 라레치 뭐 치 고쳐와 인자네 아니 치에는 되게 말어.
So here now let's go through the text again here, how to therefore there is herein I will explain the method used to achieve concentrations, drawing on the classic text. This explanation of the meditative process has two sections. First, how to develop flawless concentrations. Then second, the stages in which the mental stages are thereby developed. And so here then how to develop the flawless concentrations. This has the three parts. What to do prior to focusing the attention on the object of meditations. The second, what to do while focusing on the object of meditation. Third, what to do after you focus on the object of meditation.
당가서 세미발라 때발라 모두 가르치고 그래서나 당가서 세미발라 때면 지위 조대 다 가지 레로 정원선에 나이 정원잖아 내가 저 대단냐 가로서 냐뇽으로 디제.
So here now what to do prior to focusing on attention on the object of meditation, here it says. So we all know now why we are unable to, unable to achieve this meditative serenity and meditative concentrations. We all know that the main obstacle which prevents us from achieving the meditative serenity and concentrations is uh, indolence or the laziness, and then distractions or the mental wanderings. Those are those are the main obstacles which prevents us from achieving meditative serenity.
다들로 동보 가르쳐 버려서나 아니 띵엔지 강발라 메트로시 대이 뮤텐쇼라 가이 레롱고 마네나 동보네 띵엔진라 주드 메테신 렌치 더제 진투 미니베 유도 냥반저로 송도.
So here now it says, if you cannot stop laziness of being disinclined to cultivate concentrations and of enjoying things that are not conducive to it from the outset, you will not gain entry into the concentrations. Even if you do attend it once, you will be unable to sustain it, so it will quickly deteriorate.
세보 세정로 레로 슈체비비가라 전지 상황라 가보면와 전지 상황도 나네 땡인 제라지 레체고 말이 계시잖아요. 준티마도 나 냥로고로와.
So here, if one remains under the power of this indolence, then one will not be able to have a perseverance. Without perseverance, one will not be able to achieve meditative serenity. Even if one gains certain level of meditative concentrations, you will not be able to sustain it. It will be deteriorate in no time. Therefore, it is most crucial to stop laziness in the beginning.
년세견도 겨와라 저와라 조동 민중의 레로도코지 갈레로드마 헬로드마 저건 이제 제목고지 로행로
When you attend pliancy in which your mind and body are full of delight and bliss, you will stop laziness, inasmuch as you will be able to cultivate virtue all day and night without weariness.
대체발라 세리 신상제발라 근데 신상제 대체발라 신상제비 주지 땡연진라 준주 진대도 전리바 고소서.
Then here it says, to develop this pliancy, you must be able to have continuous enthusiasm for the concentration that causes pliancy.
대체 다 준주 진대도 전발라 갈고서 대체발라 땡연진 된데 예비 덴바 잡고 진대도 고소서.
So then it said, to develop this enthusiasm, you need to continuous intense yearning that is intent on concentration.
대체 다 준비 주대 가르려서나 대이 주네 땡연진제 연된 통에 이초비 대바템보 거베 토마 땡연진제 연된 준비 대바 양도 강바샤오 소대.
As a cause for this yearning, you need steadfast confidence in the fascination with the good qualities of concentration, and so forth.
대체 맞아 대징 가서 내 준주 전제시 세대 맞아 대바 동보래 대바 듬비제 듬바 준주 조래 준주 레리 님빙어 신장 준주 전제 버시디 준주 전제시 림바 로도 존의 림바송 다지.
So therefore, it says the faith is the cause of aspiration, and the perseverance is a condition for giving rise to the pliancy, and the pliancy is the one that enables one to engage in the virtuous activities.
Gomba Shawoji, Tedaki Korene, Nyos Lane, Tena, Shin the Sewa Nembe, Ne Tamba Zonde, Utale, Sondo.
So then here it says, so to start with, cultivate again and again a confidence that is aware of good qualities or concentrations. When you see this process in practice, you will understand this most vital point with the clearest sense of certainty, materials separation of the middle from extreme states.
That is a much of the century and the gone and young tonus, and the time, and the generated in body, civil sewage chavere, in Zane, Nepato, Chot zone, Yaneches on the near Tabazon city, near the near Tabazon, the Italia son, and Yanaki Naga is empathy, two material gene, and that the Chot in Yashoin body, zone show also was.
Therefore, it says when it says that when you see this process in practice, you will understand this most vital point with the clearest sense of certainty. Because now, when we speak about such practice, we're talking about the developing the mental qualities. The mental quality, development of mental quality can be experienced only by engaging in practice. Otherwise, you will not be able to gain any experiential knowledge without going through extensive meditations.
Neta tela neba tang, jutan jebuni do, xie song so, di yin zhe tara do. Tela nene, dunba te, zunbi ne so, neba ne, zunba hong, zunzhi so, dunbi je ne, yun tela yi chi bi deba, zubin jebuni, xinzi zhangwa wo, de gamba xa yu, tingin zinji, yun ten ne, song do. Tanji, yin ten zhe je say, di xie je yung, de varama zhe se wo do.
So then here it says, the materials separation of the middle from the extended states. The basis and what is based upon it are the cause and its result. Here it says, here the basis is yearning, okay, which is the basis of endeavor. What is basis upon it is an endeavor or enthusiasm. The cause of yearning is a confident faith in good qualities or concentrations. The result of endeavor is pliancy.
Tan de gamba sha yu tingen zin ji yun ten ne so shinen do na ta so so le pento karu yere ro tingen den ri be chen chen ne tingen zi ju ba le pento karu yere se la wa yin na se tere shi tingen zi gamba sha yu de tingen zin ji yun ten ne shinen do na sen la ga wa tang lu la de wa je be tong chu la de wa ne ba tang sen shin de le sen shin de jang wa nie be sen gi yu mi ba la kan de ne de ko de ron wa rāngwā mē bā shī jīn lō kī yu lā yīn wā shī wē nian xue mō bō mīn zhōng xīn gē wā kāng xī tab xie wā tāng xie nē lā tēn nē ngō xie tāng zhōng chū sō jī yin tēn nā zhū nī bā tāng xie bā tō tē lā tēn nē jē tā wā tāng rē jē tā wā tō bē hā tōng kī tō bā jē wā kō yī tsā wā nyū tō jū nī bā sō jī yin tēn kāng sāng nā tīngiān zhīn kāng bā lā zhū shū pē wē Pyowan jiwa nang sheba shawa gangde de jena nang ne tingen zin gangba la jundu kuye tingen zin toba lashin to sene jang yang do gangba lan juba nyangba kawa yeno sondu tingen zin ji to sonwa yana.
So in this context, the good qualities of concentrations are as follows. When you reach serenity, your mind will filled with the delight. Your mind will filled with the delight, and your body will filled with bliss. So you are happy in this lifetime. Also, Since you have attained physical and mental pliancy, you can turn your attention to any virtuous object of meditation you choose. Since you have quelled uncontrolled distractions towards the wrong sort of objects, you are not constantly involved in the wrongdoing, and any virtue you do is very powerful. Based on serenity, you can achieve good qualities such as the super knowledge and supernormal powers. In particular, it is on the basis of serenity that you develop the knowledge of insight that knows the real nature, whereby you can quickly cut the root of cyclic existence. If you reflect on any of these good qualities, you will become aware of and meditate upon things that strengthen your inclination to cultivate concentrations. When this inclination arises, you will be continually prompted from within the cultivate concentrations, and so it will be easy to attain concentration. Also, since you will cultivate it repeatedly, even after attaining it, you will be unlikely to lose it.
되지. 다 띵인제 대로 가서 레로 유비 레로기 띵인제 예연데 통소나 띵인제라 좋아제네 띵인제 냥슬래라 네 가보 용으로 토마 띵인제 예연데 가디에네 셰고도 나한테 토마 주발라 가르고레서는 근데 조합경에 질레서는 돈벌 나한테 예연데 인데시데 저 예연데 연 야포 통소나 데라 라니 가보죠서는 데데데 니고로 어찌다니.
So here in order to overcome laziness or indolence, it's first of all, one should have a clear understanding of the quality of meditative serenity or meditative concentrations. And if one is able to understand the quality of the meditative serenity, then your voluntarily engaging in such practice will coming into existence within the stem of beings, and one will be to have a delightful attitude towards engaging in such practices, because if one is able to see the qualities. Similarly, whatever the path that we venture on, whatever the spiritual path that we venture on, before we actually engaging in actual practice, it is suggested one to know the quality of the path. By knowing the quality of the path will then enables one to engage in the practice willingly.
되네. 땅가 손 데로 다 냐네 제기 고도데 베티 잡데 데더로 냐네 제기 고데 잡데 고도데 가레르스나 고데 레로로.
So it is a matter of fact that the practice door for practice is closed for us at this point. It is because of the laziness. The laziness is the door that actually blocks us, become a hindrance for us to enter into the practice of spirituality.
다 뒤 고데 셰발라 콤바티 노로라 연테 가르여메데 셰고 대마셰 봐도 고데 셴이 조고 말이.
So in order to open the door, first of all, one should know what we will be able to accomplish if you open this door and get inside the door, right? So without knowing what is inside, you will not have a genuine willingness of opening the doors, because this laziness or the indolence are, with us right from the beginningless time.
되지. 당가서 나 추쇼기 타니 먼저잖아. 나 쥐지 야제로 그 친체라. 연지 미지 제집이 땡인지 거. 제집이 땡인지 면은 먼저 추쇼는 계시잖아. 년조다 상추 유생을 공부 가시 제나요. 아니 손안 드린 저는 제는로 두고 말이. 땡큐 바래.
So to sharpen one's intellect, and one's wisdom, and develop one's wisdom, the single-pointed concentration is something that is vital for all of us. And we should know that is without single-pointed concentrations, one will not be able to, develop one's spiritual path. So even one may have engaged in the practice of meditation on such as renunciations and bodhicitta and so forth. However, one's practice of renunciation bodhicitta lacks the single-pointed concentrations. One will not be able to develop further than the middling accumulation, the path of middling path of accumulation. One will not be able to further or advance middling accumulation of the path of middling accumulation. Sorry.
Tatero, mazo chuki kahi la mazo sanje rangche se yo se xe de jido. Shindu seri ge lo de rangche se yo na ya. Tanda mazo ge pa shinju jena kanche chile de yo lo na. Ani me shepi mobe na go ge na la na yi longsu no de yo. Tanga so ge rangche se yo be sanje sanare seri cha de. Tati se go da.
So, sometime in it, some text that explains that Buddha is within us, but it is actually covered by the layers of ignorance. We are enveloped in this darkness of ignorance, and tormented by the winds of mental wanderings. So now we need to clear all this to really to manifest the Buddha that is within us. So it is clear that if one's mind is enveloped by this the darkness of ignorance, then the clarity of one's mind will not be manifest. So if one is able to clear those, the winds of wanderings and the darkness of ignorance, then not only this will achieve happiness of this life, but also you are actually beginning to enter into the entry point of gaining the state of enlightenment. So here now, if one has a genuine, aspiration to let this, sun rise on one's mind, then one should engage in this practice rigorously. The rigorous practice is required. If one rigorously practice on this, the practice of meditative serenity, it is said one will be able to achieve actual meditative serenity within 6 months. However, it is evidence that we all have not achieved such quality at this point, including myself. It is because we are remaining under this mental laziness and wandering.
세대기 수보 되니라 쇼게도 건다 거야기 차진 정정 정되는데 그 못하는 마서는 사반여선에 상인은 고수 농루 땅 야동만 줘도 거라 콜레 대생에 진짜 매버 차그래마도 텔라 친리 제스게 말와.
So we are kind of like a vehicle, car that we buy. Even if you buy a new car today, but you just we have to fill the gas and keep driving the car. At some point, the car will become useless, right? We cannot drive the car for forever. So it's in the same manner. If we are engaging in activities which sustains our life, well, our necessities for this life, and we're not putting an effort to achieve such a achievement of meditative serenity and so forth. Because regardless of how much we do to support our mundane activities, at some point, and all this will become useless.
맞아 칼레저 말마다 풍부님벌에 고사로서 아니 배도 풍부 사바지 되게 맞아 찾아 열어 맞아 상관의 계제시어디 풍부님벌에 로스 아니 냐 가서 출래 냐당비 취지게 풍부 사바 전투에게 찾아 열어 갈려면 열어도
we do have potential to really to achieve extraordinary realizations according to the tantric text where it mentions that not only that one can gain the spiritual realizations, but also one will be able to, if one really put in effort, engage in practice, one will be able to transform this, all physical body or this skandha, the physical aggregates, and then to be able to achieve a fresh and new kind of physical aggregates at this within this one's brief lifetime.
되죠. 어서치 다 이제 저 너무 자동 본질을 하기 초라 당샤고에서 라디에 이제 제대로.
So this is the reason why we are saying that we're actually not utilizing the preciousness, even multiple preciousness of the preciousness of wish fulfilling gem. We're not being able to utilize that.
되지.
We're misusing, in other words, sorry.
되지. 다 니발니 가서 다 땡겐지 관심이 내가 가르쳐 버려. 세대 단지 감바 모두 가르 니발데. 니발니 생각을 주비 지를 니발 거서 아니 대라 생제다 되비 수로 동벌라니 미바지 나자 당 거스법이 미방 거서 오 동벌라송 미방어 템바당 가사 관계 강라 미바샤와 템바 미비 나도 템바 오 동번에 손도
So now here what to do while focusing on the object of meditation. Says this section has two parts, right? First, identifying the object of meditation upon which your attention is set. Second, how to focus your mind on the object of meditations. Then here's the first, identifying the object of meditation upon which your attention is set. This has two parts again. A general presentation of object of meditation, and second, identifying object of meditation for this context. And the general presentation of object of meditation just has three sections: the object of meditation themselves, and how should meditate on which object. Sorry, the third synonymous of the object of meditation.
되지. 당가서 던져지 고알이야. 지다이나 최탄지 신에게 미바인스라고 로. 미바세서나 로티기 유 대사되라. 인제사세나레 대사세나레. 될라 미바스라고 로. 미바초는 단지세 최탄지 신에게 미바레 지다이나. 로. 제. 얘나 다나가서 거스거 신에사도 저기 강사기 미바텔 가르가리 열에서 개체되리. 얘나야 그 종기만 지시시행인데 미바 용수조 먹는지 제노 그래. 네 코로나는 네 거스 법을 미바 가르세 대한 코로 사치 좀 되고도 대표도 저도 때서 추사래. 이나 거기에 된도도 담보도도 지라.
So actually, all phenomena are said to be the object of meditative serenity. One can choose any kind of objects. There's no particular objects that is strictly required for one to, focus on to practice meditative serenity. However, in this particular context, it actually, it actually recommends you to choose certain object that is more effective.
동번에 장된되지 년조 비미바 제송데 세데 아니 딩은 신내되게 미발을 제송오레스 아니 케비 미바 아니 녀모 나자게 미바 님나 쇼바 나자게 미바 아니 가서 초비한테 초비 미바 쇼바 나자 녀모 나자 아니 단다지요 가리 시에 다이네나 코로나 되게 제다이네 자대게 미바 제송오레스 아니 동보 초비 미바네 손도아 데이터 데 초비 미바 당 쇼바 나자게 미바 나 미바지 알레 케비 미바 녀모 나자 데레도 초비 미바 쇼바 나자 케비 미바 녀모 나자 시지 알레 동보 데지 데가자 데시긴 데시 정정 용우도 보는 제바 슈도 말로도 마도 베트 고추 살 거.
그래서
동보 코선 미바지기 타니적으로 이제
So now
지난번 좀
here, let's read through this object of meditation themselves. It says, the object of meditation themselves, the Bhagavan stated that yogis have 4 types of object of meditations. This being, first, universal object of meditation. Second, object of meditation for purifying your behavior. Third, object of meditation for expertise, and then the fourth is object of meditation for purifying affections.
되지. 다 텔레 동보라지 초비 미발을 가서서는 텔레 초비 미발라네 지여데. 넘버 또바다 제비 존예당 넘버 또바메 비 존예당 무비타당 고바 용수도비 타오 어서게 말로도 로면서 그 대해 추로레시.
That's all. So then here, the object of, the universal object of meditations. Universal object of meditation are of 4 types: discursive image, non-discursive image, and the limit of existence, and achievement of your purpose.
텔레 미시적고네 샤바네 존예니데 동보네 하통기 미바인라 니바네 신내지 미바오 어송 존예지 미바 칸라 미바네 미바 란세바데 모 미바데 넘바 로라 나오 텔라 미바네 레 미바네 쉐바시비체 쉐제제 나도 예베 나도던 제비 존예 노 맞존제 존예 노 어송 또 엄마한테 년도레시도 야 텔라 미네 메셔바 센조비체 셔제제 또바메바 넘바메도비 존예 샤오 존예 데 미바 관계 존예 이냐나 셔바 노자게 미바 나라 나당 케비 미바 나당 녀모 노자게 미바 니 존예나 예노 손도 배제 로드마도 레히전 코스 페트로레샤.
That's all. So now here, the two types of image, discursive and non-discursive, are presented in terms of the observer. The first is the object of insight, and the second is the object of meditative serenity. The image is not the actual specially characterized object upon which your mind is focused, but rather the appearance of that object aspect to your minds. When you carry out analysis while observing an object, then the image is discursive, since analytical thinking is present. When you stabilize your mind without analysis while observing an object, the image is said to be non-discursive, since analytical thinking is absent. As for these images, what objects of meditation are, the images of, they are the images or the aspect of the 5 objects of meditation for purifying behaviors, and the 5 objects of meditation for expertise, and the 2 objects of meditation for the purifying afflictions. So, however, this universal object of meditation is not something that is not inclusive, and then 3 objects. So then this the third object will be explained clearly in the following explanations. So the limits of existence are posited with the reference to the observed objects. There are 2: the limits of existence for the diversity of the phenomena, which are expressed in the statements. Just this is all there is. There's nothing more. And the limits of existence for the real nature expressed in the statements. This alone is how things exist. They do not exist in any other ways. In the case of the diversity of phenomena, this means that the 5 aggregates includes all composite phenomena. The 18 constituents and 12 sources included all phenomena. And the 4 truths included everything there is to know. There is nothing else beyond this. In the case of the nature, this means the reason establish the truth or the reality of those objects of meditation. So, as we talked about earlier, that the object of the meditative serenity can be any phenomena. Entire phenomena are the object of meditative serenity. So therefore, it actually here in this paragraphs, it explains about what all those phenomena are, such as 5 aggregates, composite phenomena, 18 constituents, 12 things there is no, and then also the four truths and 2 truths and so forth.
단 데뷔 권에 잡았을 때 가서 다다로 데뷔 권에 베네시나 강고비 타투긴 데뷔때 가르쳐서나 아니 내걸 내년에 저 타투 아니 다 사제지고 왔다 비쳤다서는 이거 라운하게 내거디 내년에 세디 아니 다나 가서 통치를 대화내 봐 신체내 손에 내년에 가요로 데뷔 제 이차네 대화 내고 와.
So as a result, what is the result of achieving meditative serenity? Is free oneself, from this free oneself from this unenlightened existence, and then and lead oneself to the state of enlightenment eventually.
당에 지세는 되는 거죠. 또 시바나적이 미반에 내차로 소바 시체와 시바나 종이에 제레 넘버 종이 미바테 메두바다 샴바당 텐데당 컨제라에 우종은 대가오 델라 메두바 미바네 손도 따다서 따다불라 소 주네 나게 메두바 나 제 메두바지 넘버 호알로 소바 시르지 메두바테 메사위 메두비 넘버 로라 샤와라 센젠바오 손도 대바도 로생다 센젠바오 자와다 자오다 바마손라 미바네 미바네 냠바자비 사비 펜데두비 삼바네 샴바테 샴빈진다네 대유고네 생 미바데다람 젠발라 샴바다 메레 샴발라 미바시 윤다 유마레 유다 이제 니가라 샴바 손바오 텐제라 미바네 듀손든 중에 텐제지 추 장라 텐바 추 장진 제본 중아 장도 세지 대다를 마도비 레셰바보단 제본 용아 제본 냥소 용아보 메비 달라 대다 미데 센젠바오 컨지라야라 미바네 사단저당 매당 노다 난카다 나시지 컨주기 차나 소소셰데 데나라 미네 센젠바오 우종알라 미바네 롱시나든 조알라 타와당 따이고네 센제도 메요와 미바오 손도 시바나자기 미바데 뇌지고 아니 대바디 지엘로데는 엔제 히텔지오티스에 나 때문에 나자
So achievement of purpose is posited in terms of results. With added serenity of insight, you direct your attention to the image of those objects of meditation. Then you stabilize on them, become accustomed to them, and by virtue of repeated practice, you become free of your dysfunctional tendencies, undergoing a dysfunctional transformation, which is the object of meditation for purifying your behaviors. Object of meditation for purifying behavior are objects that purify behaviors in which attainment or the like-hated delusions, pride, or discursiveness is a predominance. There are 5 such objects of meditations. Respectively, there are, ugliness, love, dependent arising, and differentiations of constituents and inhalation and exhalations. Of this, the object of meditation on the ugliness consists of the 36 ugliness pertaining to the body, such as head and body hair, and external ugliness, such as corpses turning blue. And so when an aspect of impurity and ugliness arises in your mind, you keep your attention on it. Love involves focusing on the friends, enemies, and person towards whom you have natural feelings, and having an attitude at the level of meditative equipoise of providing them with help and happiness. Keeping your attention on those objects of meditation with the loving attitude is called a meditation on love. Love refers both to the subjective attitude and then to the objective. Regarding to the objective meditation on the dependent arising, all there is in the past, the present, and the future is dependent arising, in which effects that are mere phenomenal factors and simply arises based on mere phenomenal factors. Apart from this, there is no performer of actions or expenser of the efforts. You focus your attention on this fact, the holder in there. As for the object of meditation on the differentiation of the constituents, you differentiate the factors of the six constituents: earth, water, fire, and space, air, space, and consciousness. You focus your attention on them and hold it there. Regarding this object of meditation, inhalation and exhalations, you focus your attention without distractions by continuing and watching the breath move in and out. Let's do our dedication prayers, such that 5 minutes of engaging in virtuous activities and accumulating merits of the 3 times, and 5 minutes of such may I be able to overcome the obstacles of meditative concentrations. Thus, may I achieve the perfect meditative concentrations and special insight, so that I can become a beneficial for entire sentient beings. May all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the 10 directions please bestow upon us blessings to be able to do this.
有就解就是那边国菜烧点的，那个天天手机就不能。老上点边正面扫风景，老爷面色大多年就年，杭州绕月过月相好，别当的我毛年永远的，现在在我的人叫作业，小别人的包多年就年，小别八月就到前方。更多上报太阳天见的，得到根据就是道路是，愿望得到当机绕多梦，就从西边叫我当机，我刚那就多环保的，那件个月早晚的根章，从不谢谢绕多梦。哎呀，图姐，点酒。